Hello, I'm Tomahawk Productions, and today we will be talking about the Whiskey Rebellion, which lasted between 1791 and 1794. Without further ado, let us begin. So, the Whiskey Rebellion, as implies, was a rebellion over whiskey, or more so, a tax over whiskey. You see, in 1791, America was still in extreme debt from the victory of the American War of Independence, and not only needed to be able to pay its foreign debts, but also its domestic debts. So Secretary of Treasury Alexander Hamilton, insert Hamilton clip here, probably won't do that, but nonetheless, decides, hey, let's put an excess tax on whiskey. Everybody in Washington's cabinet is like, yeah, let's go for this. And so in 1791, the excess tax on whiskey is put into place. Now, think of yourself as a Pennsylvania farmer who, and specifically Western Pennsylvania, who has a surplus of harvest of specifically rye. Rye is made into whiskey because it's not safe and it's much more dangerous to ship just straight up rye or rye bread over to back east. So you make it into whiskey. This tax comes along and basically says, all right, we're going to remove all of your profit from that whiskey, so now you can't sell it and now you can't make money. You'd be pretty upset, right? The smaller whiskey makers, the individual farmers mainly, were quite furious. The larger farmers, they paid off. They're a bit less, they're making a bit less profit, but they're still all right. But the smaller farmers are basically like, no, we're not going to pay this tax. This is going to drive us into debt. We're not going to be able to pay for our farms. So what do? They rebel. Much like Boucher's rebellion that basically was farmers rebelling over taxes, this is also farmers rebelling over taxes. And basically the best way to put this is it basically establishes federal supremacy of the government. You see, in 1791, the Constitution is only 2 years old, and Washington is only about a year and a half into his term. So the government really needs something to say, hey, we are the big dog. We are the supreme government. You guys are going to listen to us. And this is exactly what happens. Much like with Shays' Rebellion, which basically highlighted the flaws of the Articles of Confederation and made the government go, all right, we need to replace this. Whiskey Rebellion basically establishes that Constitution and basically goes, all right, we got this. So anyways, as the rebellion grows, it becomes more and more violent. By the time of 1794, Washington and his cabinet basically are wondering what in the absolute double heck to do, because now there's a couple thousand farmers who are refusing to pay taxes, and it's basically just a massive no-you to the government. Washington needed to do something, and so he consulted with Alexander Hamilton and a few of his generals in 1794, and they basically came up with, all right, there's about 5,000 of them, and we have an entire country at our disposal. Let's get a bunch of militia and go scare the absolute ever-living daylights out of them, so that way this won't happen again. And that's exactly what happened. About 13,000 troops, a grand majority of them militia, and maybe a company or so of United States troops meet at Fort Cumberland, Maryland. That's actually what this picture is of here, Washington reviewing the troops at Fort Cumberland, Maryland. It's a rather popular image whenever you Google the Whiskey Rebellion, and so I thought it would be appropriate to draw it here. Their exact plan goes off without a hitch. Very few casualties on both sides, and by the time the militia are already marching out to Western Pennsylvania, the whiskey rebels are like, oh, they have guns, let's run. And that's exactly what they did, breaking up the Whiskey Rebellion, at least sort of. As we stated, the Whiskey Rebellion basically allowed for the government to have federal supremacy over its people. It basically established them and set them on a track to what it is today. And though the whiskey tax, or the excess tax, wouldn't be removed until 1801 by President Thomas Jefferson, the violence had partially dwindled. It still remained until after the tax was removed, but it was nowhere near to the point of where it had gotten in 1794. Anyways, I'm Flintlock Tomahawk Productions. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, please like and ask for what other content you would like me to see. I'm currently running out of ideas, and it's put a bit of a damper on my content. So if you have any ideas for what you'd like to see or learn more about, please leave a like down below. And remember, as always, I'm Flintlock Tomahawk Productions, signing out.
Hath old England of folly and sin, by the Chatham and Camden, Mary, Burke, Wilkes, and Glynn. Not content with the Game Act, they tax fish and sea, and America drenched with hot water and tea.